Welcome, everyone. We are live with another episode of Level Up Law, where every Tuesday at noon, South Carolina Legal Services is leveling up your legal knowledge about an area of law that we practice in. I'm Senior Staff Attorney Susan Ingalls, and I'm here with our producer, Kenneth Elliott from our IT department in the background. And you are viewing live Jacob Holland, who has put together a presentation for us on the topic of door-to-door sales in South Carolina. We're really delighted to have Jacob on board today. He is one of two Access to Justice Tech Fellows that we have this summer at South Carolina Legal Services. And he's done a really great job working with producer Kenneth Elliott in our IT department on some projects that we really needed some help on. So thanks to Jacob for that. Jacob is a rising second year law student, I believe, at Willamette Law School in Salem, Oregon. So he hails from across the country, and we've been glad to have him. I do want to mention that if you would like to find out more about the Access to Justice Tech Fellowship for law students, you can visit that program's website at atjtechfellows.org. It's really a great program, and we are really happy that we had another couple of fellows this summer from that program. Now, before we get started with Jacob's presentation, we always want to remind you that this is not legal advice. It's just general information for the public. If you need the help of a lawyer, you can call our intake line here at South Carolina Legal Services or apply online. And the information about that will be on the last slide of Jacob's presentation today. Jacob will be able to take questions at the end of the presentation, so do feel free to put questions in the question box on your screen, and if possible, he'll address those at the end. Keep in mind that those need to be general questions. They can't be about your specific case, because this program today is not for providing legal advice. That's why we have an application process. So just keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and get started, Jacob. We're ready to roll.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Ingalls. Again, yes, my name is Jacob Holland. I'm a law student at Willamette University in Salem, and yes, I'm excited to kind of go through the law of door-to-door sales with you today. So yeah, the law on door-to-door sales, it's kind of help you protect yourself from scams using door-to-door sales to scam you and take advantage of a situation you might be in. So firstly, what makes a door-to-door sale? Door-to-door sales occur when a salesperson approaches a home and tries to sell or market a good or service to you that you may not want or need at the time, but when the opportunity arises, you might be interested in it. Now, door-to-door sales can only occur when approached mainly at a home. Having products shipped to your home from Amazon, either from online shopping, in-store purchases, it doesn't count as a door-to-door sale, although you are receiving the product at home. So some legal requirements for sellers. Door-to-door sales are legal as long as the seller has gone through the proper legal requirements. The seller must have a permit that's granted by the county or city that allows them to be going door-to-door to sell. Depending on the city, door-to-door solicitors are only able to visit homes during semi-regular business hours, say from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. or something around those lines, as there was times in the past where door-to-door people would show up at 5 a.m. or 11 o'clock at night to try to catch you off guard and make sure that that gives them the best possible selling possibility. And if you have a sign stating no soliciting or a similar sign, sellers are unable to go to your house, and they're technically trespassing. And if they're repeatedly coming to your house, or you just have repeated people coming over and over again, like, you'd be able to call the police because they're unwanted visitors onto your property, and you could try to get them to go away and use that as possibly a helpful kind of avenue to get some peace and quiet and some time away from those type of people. So your rights, the consumer's rights. You have several rights that consumers have that protects them from door-to-door sellers. Yeah, the best right probably, or the most helpful right is the FTC's 3-day cooling off rule, which I'll go into later. You have the right to ask sellers for their permit that was supposedly granted to them. You ask for a copy of the business license. You don't even have to open your door at all if you don't feel comfortable with people at your door, or if you don't feel like talking to them. Again, it's your house, they're approaching you. It's not like it'd be rude or anything. It's you don't want to talk to them, you don't have to open your door at all. And again, you don't have to listen to the whole speech as well. Again, you're on your property, it's your time. You can go back into your house at any time. There's no pressure as a consumer during their pitch to appease them. If you don't want to be bothered, you don't have to be bothered. So the 3-day cooling off rule. Many states have a buyer's remorse law that protects them. South Carolina follows the FTC's, or Federal Trade Commission's, cooling off rule. This rule follows that any kind of service or product that was sold to you at your home by someone coming to your door and selling it to you is subject to your right to cancel the purchase. You're entitled to a full refund if you notify the seller that you're canceling the sale within 3 business days. The rule does not apply if you bought the item in store or online and have it delivered to your home. As we stated before, that does not classify as a door-to-door sale. Other things that don't apply on a door-to-door, or the cooling off rule doesn't apply for that as well, is if it's under $25 at a door-to-door sale. If it's under $130 for sales made at temporary locations. And a temporary location is one that, well, let me say this. A door-to-door sale occurs basically if you go to somebody that isn't their permanent place of business. So if you go to a convention center and buy something, that can be considered a door-to-door sale under this. If you go to a hotel or a motel, if you go to a Tupperware party where you're at someone's house and buying the services, if you buy over the $130 for the sale, the cooling off rule can't apply. It doesn't apply for goods and services not primarily intended for personal, family, or household purposes, but it does apply to courses of instruction or training. So when you're looking at the 3-day cooling off rule, just make sure that the good and service that you did buy or go into was primarily intended for personal, family, or household purposes. It doesn't apply if the sale is maybe entirely online, by mail, or telephone. So anything like that on Amazon, if you mailed in a purchase, or if you, made a purchase over the telephone, unfortunately it doesn't apply, but maybe the companies you're working with has some sort of rectification process that you're able to gain back some sort of your money or some sort of ease of mind afterwards. And again, it doesn't cover a sale that comes from the result of prior negotiations at the seller's permanent place of business, where goods are sold regularly. So you can't discuss something with a flooring person over and over and over again, and when it finally comes in and you make the final payments and you're discussing it at your home, that doesn't count for the 3-day cooling off rule. If it's needed to meet an emergency, if you need that product to meet an emergency, then it doesn't fall under the 3-day cooling off rule. I would hope that you're not waiting for a door-to-door seller to come by to fix an emergency for you, but if it does happen, it will not be on this 3-day cooling off rule, unfortunately. Or if it's made on a request for the seller to do repairs or maintenance on your personal property, kind of like the flooring example, the 3-day cooling off rule doesn't apply, but you may have something within that company that helps you return it or get some money back. Now, You do have the right to cancel, as for any sort of sale. And sales which take place in facilities rented by the seller on a temporary or short-term basis can be classified as door-to-door as well, and they include the right to cancel the contract. And like I said before, hotel rooms, convention centers, restaurants, a party sale, and other similar situations are also under the umbrella of door-to-door sales and can be bought with the same kind of understanding that it is a door-to-door sale. Now, how do you cancel? You have a right to change your mind. If you're your own person, you can't be forced into making a decision if you don't want to, right? When the sale takes place, you should be presented with a copy of a cancellation form that you would need to sign and date. Have it be that you would like to cancel. If you're given no letter was given to you, just write a cancellation letter yourself, stating what the product was, who you are, when it occurred, how much it was, and everything like that. And the notice needs to be mailed and postmarked within 3 business days of the sale. And the business days, so it doesn't include holidays, weekends, similar stuff like that. It's just Monday to Friday business days. Now, something you should look out for as well, if you should be presented with a cancellation form. And if a door-to-door seller doesn't have a cancellation form, is hesitant to give one to you, it might be in your best interest to maybe not go forward with that sale, as it could possibly be signs of a scam if they're unable to provide you with that right that you have. So now, what occurs after you cancel? The seller has 10 days to cancel and return any checks that you've signed to them. They have to refund all your money, tell you whether any of the products you still have will be picked up by them, and they must return any trade-ins that you've provided to maybe make some equity within that sale. The seller also has 20 days to either pick up the items or reimburse you for mailing expenses, which is positive in the sense that you will not have the product in your possession anymore. You're gonna have your money. And the right to cancel basically just makes sure that both you and the seller are put back into a situation where, as if the sale had never occurred in the first place. So a theory that might occur during door-to-door sales is unconscionability. And a way that some sellers try to make a sale and trap you into a deal is through unconscionable actions. A contract is unconscionable when a contract is unfair or oppressive to the one party in a way that suggests that the seller is abusing their power and they hold over the buyer. For example, if one were to buy a vacuum they couldn't afford for the sole reason to get an aggressive seller off their property, a court could deem that as unconscionable, and then therefore the contract would be void, and then both parties would be kind of put back to where they were before then. Or if in the situations where the seller knows of the buyer's poor socioeconomic status, they may let them set up a sort of tab with them, but with bad interest value. So every time you continue to buy stuff for them that you might need, a bed, couch, dishwasher, vacuum, eventually all they're doing is paying off the interest rate for years and years, and a court might deem that the seller took advantage of them. And that's another right that buyers have when dealing with possibly scam or just bad business people in general. So how to protect yourself? One of the first things I saw when I was looking up for this topic, it's not on here, but just get a big dog. So that's one. Never respond to unsolicited offers. If you don't go out and try to get that offer, don't give them the time of day, because you're not interested. You were never interested in the first place. Keeps you away from a scam. Schedule your appointments yourself. If you need repairs done, don't wait for a door-to-door person to come by and see that you have 5 fallen trees. If you have something that needs to be done, do the research yourself and call someone, or talk to your neighbors and call someone. When somebody approaches your house, always ask for identification. Ask for the permit. Ask for their business license. This ensures that they are a legitimate business person. All they're trying to do is make a sale with you. They're not trying to scam you. They're just trying to push a product. Have them wait outside while you contact their employer. But don't rely on the number they gave you. If they say they are from XYZ company, go into your home, lock the door, and either look it up in a book or Google the company and call them yourself, and just make sure that either that person specifically works for the company or they do door-to-door sales, because that number that they gave you might just be to another person trying to further their scam. Again, never give them cash, because cash is hard to trace. If they do end up scamming you with a check, at least you know you can follow the money somewhat. With cash, they can kind of just disappear. And that's just another layer to protect you and your money if a scam or just someone taking advantage of you does occur. Always report suspicious activity to your local law enforcement. This just helps that the neighborhood and the area just stay a little safer and make sure that nobody is doing any shady, pardon me, anything shady around you, and making sure everyone's safe. High pressure sales tactics often indicate a scam as well. So if they're constantly pressuring you, if they're not leaving, if they're trying to make their way into your home, it might indicate a scam. And you want to just separate yourself as much as you can from that situation. And if they continue to put you in an awkward position, the best thing for you to do is just go into your home, close the door. If you want to be polite, I have to leave, I'm sorry, lock your door, and just make sure they leave. Do not sign a contract without reading it thoroughly first. So make sure whenever you're given a contract, if you want to make a sale, make sure that there's nothing hidden in the contract that might in the future hurt you or sign you up for something you never intended. So when you first get a contract, just make sure that everything on it is how you would like it. And be wary of salespeople who claim to be from your current utility provider or alarm service. A lot of scams occurred after a power outage. Somebody from your current utility provider may come by and say, for $50, for $100, I can repair your power, which they can't. But in essence, your power is going to turn back on eventually, and you're going to think that they did it when it was just your utility provider doing it. Or they might try to come in and install an updated alarm service for you, when in reality they're installing an expensive new alarm service that might be $1,000, and they might try to get you on the hook for that. And you just want to be wary that make sure that whoever is claiming to be from a company that you're currently involved with, that they are who they say they are. So even if that occurs, just go inside, call your utility provider or alarm service, and make sure everything is going okay. So some pitfalls to avoid. Many door-to-door salespeople will either have a script or be given tips to solicit a sale from a customer that may be hesitant to trust or believe them. And there are many sites and everything out there that offer them training and tips and tricks in order to give them the best opportunity to make a sale and kind of convince you that you need their product. They'll often have expertise on the product, have knowledge that maybe isn't public or isn't just common knowledge, and try to convince you with their expertise that you need this product or this is the newest thing. They'll try to build a rapport with you or a connection. And they may use open-ended questions to gather information as well, so that at that time when you are unsure about making the sale, they can go back to the open-ended questions and take what you've said and try to use that against you, or make a connection and a rapport with you to make it seem like you're buying from a friend, or they'll try to tell you a heartwarming story that might try to make the sale. And that's just all trying to use it to convince you otherwise just to make a sale. So some signs of a scam. They may say you need to act now to get the deal they're offering, when in reality they're offering that deal to the next people for the next couple weeks, months, forever. They may pressure their way into your home and refuse to leave, and that's just not a good situation to be in. You know that's going to be an aggressive person, and you don't want them to be in your home. They may use scare tactics. They may say if you don't get the security system, your family's going to be in danger. You'll be in danger. They try to use common things in the world that are fear invoking to get you to buy their products so you can feel safer. They may claim that your security company's got out of business and they've taken over and they need to install something. And again, if that occurs, just call your security company or try to, and just make sure that they haven't gone out of business or what your best next move is. You should never make a quick decision when it comes to security or anything that's gone out of business, and they shouldn't pressure you into something that quickly. They may get aggressive if you're undecisive, or they feel like you're going to back out. They may try to seem like they're going to leave, but in reality, oh, are you sure you don't want it? Are you sure? And they might keep asking you until you realize that they might leave and you're going to take that offer. Or they may also lower the price exponentially, 50%, 75%, when in reality, they've just lowered it to the normal price. And all they've done is just told you a fake high price to think that they're doing you a favor. And that's just not true. So if you see any of this, it might be a sign of a scam. So some common scams: free home security inspection, where they come in, they look at your house, they look at all the locks, and in some instances, this is just people trying to case your house for a possible further burglary. Again, also with that, the tree trimming. While somebody is trimming a tree in the front or the back, they may have a co-conspirator break into the house at a time and rob you while either you're not home or while you're busy with something else, and try to use that as a distraction to take advantage of you. The utility company scams. Like I said, if the power just came out or something like that, they may try to get a quick dollar off you when they know that the power is going to eventually return. So just because it's $100, $75, you may not think it's a scam because the money's so little. But in reality, a scam artist is going to want any money they can get from you and try to take any advantage as possible. Any fence, roof, siding, driveway, automobile repair, anything that can try to convince you that you either need or want and possibly pay cash for it, they may try to take advantage of it. Or just another way to look at your house. Similarly with the free home inspection, building code violation, they may say they're from your building and they may try to look around in order to case the joint or just get a $50 fee that they said that you broke in the violation, when in reality you did nothing wrong. And as well also solar panels. And I think that's a newer one where they'll end up tricking you into a 5, 10, 15-year contract for something you don't really want and for something that may not be actually what you need. And they'll try to use their expertise and their knowledge to convince you that you might be saving money on solar panels rather than just normal electricity, but also then trap you into a 10 to 15-year contract paying the solar panels off and everything. So earlier this year, a man in Rock Hill was scammed by a pest control company. He was offered a deal for a one-time spray, but then signed up for a 1-year contract. Later, when he received his receipt or an attachment from the company in his email, when he opened the attachment, it signed him up for a costly 1-year deal that he was totally unaware of. When he called the company to complain, they told him he was under a service contract and it cost $200 to cancel. So that's just another thing to look out for when you're dealing with companies, is sometimes stuff they send you might accidentally or purposefully sign you up for a long-term contract that you had no intention of actually signing up for. The Rock Hill man contacted the Better Business Bureau, and this company had actually had about 250 complaints against them. So just because a company also has complaints against them doesn't mean they're going to stop trying. Many of the scams will continue to try, or people will use a business's name to try to convince you otherwise as well. So some statistics. In South Carolina this year, there's been 267 scams. According to some data, there has been around over $300,000 lost from scams already. About 100,000, just over, would have been lost had the scam continue. But also looking at statistics from 2017 as well, about a good portion, I can't say the exact percentage for sure, but I would say over 75% of the money that's lost in scams is usually refunded or reimbursed eventually to that buyer. Currently, in 2022, service and repair scams are among the most common. So anything regarding repairing your home, car, and servicing those as well are among the most common right now. Coming from 2017, Richland, Fairfield, and Kershaw counties have the highest complaints per capita in the state. So every other county below them, or that's not on the list, is below 1 for complaints, which is good. But yeah, just that's something to look out for, is 1 in every 1,000 people is having a door-to-door seller that's possibly a scam artist coming to their door and approaching them. So it's very common and something you should be wary of. Yeah. And if you've given information to a potential scammer, there's many things you can do. You can place a fraud alert, pardon me, on with one of the 3 credit bureaus, and they'll contact the other 2. Pardon me. Sorry. And what that would do is it's just another level of protection where they'll contact you after a sale and say, "What was this you? Did you buy this?" And you say yes or no, and you'll proceed throughout then. Consider a security freeze, preventing businesses from accessing your credit report. And that's just another level of protection that helps you in the case of a potential scammer. And just monitor your personal financial statements. Again, if you gave them your social or banking information, they may not take your money right away, but they might in the future, when you're not as aware of it anymore, try to slowly get some money off you to the point where all of a sudden you realize it, or they try to reroute your social security payments, and they just try to take advantage as much as they can of you. Now, where do you file a complaint? If you suspect a scam, report it to the police, your local consumer protection agency, which here in South Carolina, it would be the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. You can contact the Better Business Bureau or the BBB, as the man did in Richard Rocket. With the pest control, you can contact the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, or the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission. And what you can do is go on one of the websites, and there you should be able to find just like a link to where to file a complaint, and where it'll walk you through it. You'll file a complaint, kind of give all the information that you have on it, everything that was lost, everything that happened, and from that you'll be able to kind of move further on the process of rectifying the problem that occurred. And if you don't want to go through any of those, or you're not too sure where to start, just Googling where to file a complaint on a scam or door-to-door sales scam complaint, that should help you pop up as well. Anything else that was that is available for you. So now at this time, if there is any questions, feel free to ask them now, and I'll try to help answer them.
Here's one question, Jacob, and that is talking about, you were talking early on about the no solicitation sign and getting call the police because it's a trespass if they come on your property. Does that also apply to like neighborhoods where the neighborhood has a no solicitation sign that's like right at the neighborhood entrance where it says no solicitations in this neighborhood? If somebody comes to your door and you have one of those at your neighborhood entrance, can you call and report a door-to-door solicitation person based on that warning sign?
I would say so, yes, because you as a neighborhood are providing that you do not want a solicitor, as like you have now collectively made it a choice to say we don't want solicitors in our neighborhood. They're going onto our properties, and you want them to come out. It'd be kind of similar as somebody hopping the fence of a gated community and going around and talking. They may not have no solicitation on the gated community, but by being inside the gate or this no solicitation neighborhood, they're kind of encroaching onto where you feel like you'd be safe. So yeah, I would definitely contact, and I don't think the authorities have a problem trying to help you maintain the safety and everything of your neighborhood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any other questions, but I did want to mention, I think you might have mentioned this in your presentation, but one thing that I know I have seen in some cases that we've had here at Legal Services, and that is when someone who is doing door-to-door sales gets a person from your neighborhood or church, someone to go around with them while they're selling, and that is sort of an extra indication of trustworthiness because either you do know the person or they claim to know you, and like, oh well, then this is a legit thing because Mrs. Jones is with this person. But quite often, I think these door-to-door salespeople will pay that person some sort of a fee, like for every sale I get that you help me get, I'm going to give you $50 or whatever it is. And I think that's something to be wary of for sure.
For sure, and I think as well. I think a big thing is just go with your gut. I mean, like I said before, right? It's a door-to-door sale. It's not like you're going to the grocery store or you're going to the mall to buy something that you're looking forward to buying. Someone's coming to your door and they're saying, "Do you want to buy this?" And just because you know the person doesn't mean you have to buy it even right then and there. You can take that person's information, do some research, talk to your neighbor after the fact, or just if you want that product, like go to the mall yourself, and you don't have to make a sale with them at that time. There's so many products out there. You're able to find a good deal at some point. You're not going to be.
You make a really good point with that you really do need to take the time to. It's okay, like you said, it's okay to say, well, I'd like to think about that, and I'll call you later, or you can come back next week or something like that, because another week of not having some particular item is probably not like some crucial emergency typically, even though they'll try to make you feel like it is, I suppose.
Yeah, and if they are willing to wait a week to make the sale, it's probably another indication that it isn't a scam. You should still be weary, but if they're willing to wait, then usually like they're not worried about you kind of catching on,
Yeah, and the other thing I think one of your really important points was the idea of not letting this person into your house.
Mhm.
You know, I'm sure it's more comfortable if they say, oh, can I come in and we can sit down and look at this? Yeah, don't do that with somebody that for sure with someone you don't know.
Yes, exactly.
Once they're in your house, it's hard to get them out, and it does make me think about like car sales where you go to a car dealership and there's often a lot of pressure there, and the next thing you know, you've been there for 2 hours and they're still, working on you to try to sell you a car. The thing about
Yeah.
that is you can leave a car dealership.
Yeah.
Once you let that person in your own home, it's hard to make them leave because they're going to keep trying the sales tactics that you mentioned. They're just going to
Yeah.
keep on after that. So I think that was probably one of the most important points of your presentation, for me anyway, is the idea that don't let people into your house. If
Oh,
they
yeah.
feel the need to talk to them about whatever it is they're selling, do it outside. If you have a porch with
Exactly.
a chair, or you got steps you can sit on, or you can just go out
Yeah.
and put it on the hood of their car or something, or your car to look at. I think it's such an important point
Yeah.
to not let them inside.
Oh,
'Cause
100%.
they could be doing a lot more than selling something also. So that's something to think about as well. Well, we don't have any more questions, so I just want to thank you so much, Jacob, for
Thank
a
you.
great presentation on door-to-door sales. I think it's something that we don't think about a lot in general, but it's happening, as you pointed out, more and more. And so this is really important information, I think, for everyone to know about.
For
And
sure.
thanks to
Yeah.
our audience for joining us here today and every week on Level Up Law. We really appreciate the loyalty of our audience members. And also, as a reminder, all of our episodes are posted by our producer, Kenneth Elliott, to the Level Up Law playlist on our YouTube channel. That's at SC Legal Services on YouTube. Real easy to find. Just put that name in the box. So if you did find this helpful, and I'm sure you did, I certainly found it really helpful, all these little rules about door-to-door sales. Go to the YouTube channel tomorrow and share this broadcast out so that other people will know. You may know somebody who's been a victim of this, or you may just want to help us to get out this important information so people will know. Either way, share it out. We really appreciate that. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're posting Level Up Law episodes every week, but also other information as well. And if you sign up for notifications by ringing that bell while you're there, you'll get a notification each week when we post a new episode, even if you can't watch the show live. But to register for the live episodes, just go to the public calendar on our website at sclegal.org. And also, another way to get notification about the upcoming episodes is to check out our social media, which you can do as soon as you sign off today. We're on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You can follow us there, and that way you'll always get the up-to-date information of what's coming up so you can register for the live episode. So thanks again, Jacob Holland from Willamette University Law School in Salem, Oregon. We're so happy that we had you this summer, and we appreciate you taking the time to do this episode for us. It's been really a good one. And for our audience, be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Level Up Law, Tuesday at noon. Thanks again for tuning in today. That concludes today's webinar. Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you.